Hi, everyone. Welcome to Plein Air Easton 2022. This is Beyond the Canvas. I'm your host, Tim Weigand, and I'm here today with Carol Lee Thompson and Julie Riker, who are artists, have been artists, demonstrating artists in Plein Air Festival this year and contestants in previous years, or competitors in previous years. And we want to welcome you to the podcast, welcome those in the audience. You may hear some background noise. That's because we're live at the festival this year. We'll be doing another one of these tomorrow if you're watching and you want to come down. This is Beyond the Canvas. So thank you, ladies, for.
Thank you.
We struggled with that. There was like 5 names, and Beyond the Canvas one. We've just named this. I think it was called. It was called 2 shots of coffee and a shot of cane one year. So. We've settled on Beyond the Canvas. Thank you, ladies, for coming in. Let's just start with who you are and where you came from. Carol, go first.
Carol Lee Thompson. I'm a true Marylander. I live on the Maryland-Pennsylvania line now, but Maryland all my life, and come to the Eastern Shore all the time. Love it here. Love it.
What do you mean you come to all the time?
Visiting, have friends here, have always been a Chesapeake Bay lover.
Well, Thompson, I mean, are you from here? Are you from the border of Maryland, or are you from like?
No, I'm from
down here.
Baltimore.
Baltimore. Thompson.
You'll hear it. You'll hear it.
Oh, I was going to ask about the accent. Yeah, I was going to ask about the accent.
It's there.
And Julie?
I'm Julie Riker, and I'm from Central Pennsylvania area, and I love to come to the Eastern Shore too. Usually the beaches, and it's just beautiful down here on the whole peninsula.
Well, good. Thank you, ladies, both for coming in and being a part of this. As you're both alumni this year, is that right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. When did you participate, Julie? How long ago? Oh, Julie, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I believe it was 2016.
Carol?
I did 5 years in the beginning.
Very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes.
So you've seen it grow kind of then.
Oh, unbelievable. Every year they think of something new. It's amazing what they come up with and how great it is.
Okay. And just for everybody's sake, there is another person on the screen, I think, if you're looking, and definitely in the studio or in the auditorium here. There's Doug Clarke is listed as the third person. That he's not really here, in case if in radio and YouTube land, I don't know if you can see him or not. And for the audience, is not some ghost. Doug was supposed to be here as an alumni, and someone couldn't make it. So his daughter is doing the Plein Air Children's Painting Week this week at the Avalon. So because he was going to be here all week, we asked Doug to take the position of an actual painter. So he is out painting now. So for those of you who aren't here and are listening, just for your audio, you're only going to hear 3 people. It should be 4, and I am not Doug. I'm Tim. We're with, again, Carol Lee Thompson and Julie Riker. I want to start with this. I started with it in one of the podcasts we did. Am I overstating this sentence that, like, if you are into art and painting and collecting, as a patron or as a and certainly as a competitor, we've always heard, this is a great one to get into. But is this not one of the best spots you can be, or how would you categorize this spot in the country this week?
Well, it's certainly one of the most prestigious plein air events in the country.
How does that relate to the collector or the aspiring painter or novice painter?
Well, the artists that apply there's artists that apply from all over the world, and it's very selective to get in. So you're getting the best of the best that are here competing, and they're doing their best work. And so if you're looking to buy art, you have a lot of wonderful variety to choose from. Yeah.
Caroline, is this the best spot in the country? Just this week. I'm not 50 other weeks were like the best
hands
waterfront place, whatever.
It's the best plein air event in the country.
Yeah.
And it is 10 days, and you get the best plein air painters in the country and pretty much the best subject. Where can you get all of this?
Yeah.
The boats, the water, the landscape, the farm, everything's represented. It just doesn't get any better. So you're getting a fusion of the best artist with the best subject with the best committee.
Great, thank you. Okay, good. That's I'm just trying to kind of categorize. I have friends who their kids like painting, or they're a neighbor who's kind of dabbles in art. And I'm like, well, you should come in because this is one of the best spots to be in this week in the U.S.
Yeah, a lot of educational opportunities too.
Well, yeah. What about those?
Yeah, the demos and these discussions. There's a lot of things for people who are learning to paint or beginning painters.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, you can go find it in another city. You can go look for it, but this is a whole thing built around it. I'm not saying it's the best. It's not the MoMA or something like that, but like, it's a great spot, I think, to be interactive with this year. So when you talk about learning some things and talk about the subjects, I will talk about that in just a second. I'm going to talk about this first. The category today is choosing and engaging with your subject, the subject of your paintings. So, audience, if you folks have any questions, you are welcome to ask any questions. Please just raise your hand, and as we get going, ideally, this is a conversation between them. I'm just going to kind of like jump-start it as we go. So, we are all ears. Maybe there's a process to this. Julie, Carol Ann, I don't know if you want to start.
You want to start?
Well, I think about myself when I was growing as an artist or younger. I was a little more academic about these events and make it look like and capture this and be a little more technical about the event. And as I've gotten older and grown as an artist and it's sort of become a little more introspective, I've realized that, yes, I used to have to make it look like something and I used to have to be technical, but now it has to touch me. It's intuitive. I have to feel it. Maybe I'm being a brat saying I should just be able to go out and paint whatever's put in front of me, but maybe I've earned the right to be a little bit of a brat about it because I really want to feel the subject. I want to touch this, be in tune with it, and I truly, truly over the years have come to realize that if it touches me and I love it and it meant something as I went through the process, which for me it's all about the process, somebody out there is going to feel that. I do believe they will feel that. And that may mean a sale or a conversation in front of the painting, but they'll feel it. And that's more important to me now.
What do you mean when you say I've gotten to the point where I deserve to be able to paint like this?
I've done a lot of this, and I feel like I don't know. I want to keep enjoying it. I want to be in touch with the subject, and I want to have an experience. It's kind of a personal thing to me. It's not just a job, so I want them to feel what I feel.
How long have you been painting?
I can't tell you. I'd have to kill you. A long time.
And how long has it felt like not a job?
I still, when my friends, and they say it to me, they go, "Are you going to paint today?" I never use the W word. I never say work. I still don't. I still love it. The older I get, the more I love it. That's crazy, but I do.
It's good.
Julie? Engaging.
Oh, okay.
Who's
So
your subject?
I think we need to, for me anyway, I need to define what subject is for me because it's not always a house or a boat or a person or a flower. Sometimes the subject can be a light effect or a shadow. And that's the kind of stuff that grabs me when I'm looking for something, when I'm out scoping an area looking for something to paint. It doesn't have to be a thing. It can be, something very ephemeral like that, that's just, I want to capture the light on this sidewalk.
Right.
So it's not really, the sidewalk isn't the subject, it's the light, the shadow pattern. And so that's the kind of stuff that really grabs me when I'm looking for something to paint. And
then engaging with it. Like, I don't even know if even that sentence makes any sense.
Yeah,
This is not really, my question. It's sort of like a subject that came up out of a hat.
Yeah.
That we were like, okay, let's talk about this.
I mean, it doesn't talk to you, but as when I'm plein air painting, as I'm, working through the process of a painting, I start to notice subtle nuances in value and color, and I'm learning more about that thing, whatever I'm looking at that my painting is about. I'm learning more about it as I'm painting. And so it's my way of engaging with the world, really. To me, my paintings are less about saying something from myself to other people and more about hearing what the world has to say to me. And I learn about the world as I'm painting. And it sounds kind of weird.
No, it doesn't. Well, it kind of actually leads really nicely into the next question, which is not another one of mine, but it's like you have two artists painting the same subject.
Yeah.
They will never look alike.
They won't. Everybody
will
has
never.
their own styles, you could say, or everybody sees differently. Everybody has a different color sense. Everybody has a different hand stroke.
Personality.
Yeah. Different materials. So, we're all unique individuals, and so it's kind of like your mark you make.
Okay, and I understand. So, but you can do this wrong, right? I mean, we've all seen bad television shows. We've all seen bad acting. We've all.
Who says it's wrong?
Well, here we go. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, like we had a discussion yesterday about practicing, right? So,
Right.
yeah, I've done a lot of paintings where I end up not liking them or wiping them off, but is that wrong? I mean,
Wrong's the wrong word.
It's good. It's still valuable time.
How about poorly?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Well, that's
what
what,
that
I think that's where the
means.
question. I think
Yeah.
that's where the question's leading.
Yeah, and that's sort of like, okay, who's judging that? But
I have
Critics?
I have closets full of
Yeah.
bad
yeah,
paintings.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think you have to do a lot of bad paintings in order to get better.
It's the only way you grow.
Yeah.
Right. So what's happening there between someone who's just starting out, say, and their relationship with the figure, versus what you're able to accomplish as that type of thing? I think that's where what the question is sort of implying.
Well, I think because we collectively have hundreds and hundreds of bad paintings, that's why we can paint better than other people.
So there is better.
There is
Maybe
better.
there is, yes.
And you only get better by painting more paintings.
Right.
So
Right. Okay. But there's nothing that, like, if someone were in this audience and it's like, oh, I need the subject. There's nothing that you would say if you were offering us offer besides like you, which Julie is
I don't
letting
understand.
it speak to you, and
Right.
you're saying, or what is it saying to you, and you're trying to get something through to the customer that you experienced when you painted it.
well, if I'm teaching and a student says, oh, I have these 5 images and I'd like to paint one of these, I watch them, I ask them what they think of them, and I say, which one are you drawn to the most? Which one touches you? And even if I don't think it's the best of the choices compositionally, I say, well, that's the one you need to do, because
Yeah.
that's the one you're getting the most from.
Yeah. And everybody has their own sense of composition as well. That's kind of an intuitive, you can learn about composition, but everybody has their own intuitive sense of composing a painting, even if they were doing the same subject. Like, say, a house. One person might place it in the lower corner of the painting, another person might place it at the top. There's no wrong. It's how they end up creating their image.
Why is the Mona Lisa so great? There's a subject there, right? So there was a relationship with the subject. What was the relationship with the subject with Mona Lisa, from that you can see?
My theory
I
is
think I might be
mystery.
asking
It's
the-
the
Yeah,
mystery of it.
Mystery,
That's-
her mysterious
know.
smile.
Mystery's an awesome ingredient if you can put it in a painting.
Can you put mystery in plein air paintings?
Sure. Oh my God. I hope.
How do you do that?
I guess one way to put it is let the viewer finish the story. The buyers want to be involved. You don't have to be so literal that they are disinterested and walk away. Put mystery in the painting. Leave it incomplete. Give them questions. Let them finish it. Let them fill it in. That's going to mean more to them, that they were involved.
Julie, do you do the same thing?
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think you need to spell out every detail. I think some of the most beautiful paintings are edited down to very few details, you know. And I love seeing a painting from a distance, and it seems more detailed. You know, your eye, when you get some space between the wall, and it seems more detailed, but then you get up close, and it kind of falls apart and seems very abstract.
What is that? Because I see that it makes me afraid to buy paintings at times.
To me, that has a lot to do with having the right value and the right color and the right shape in the right place, but not worrying about, you know, like finding the biggest shape that speaks to that. Like John Singer Sargent was so skilled at, like, he could do a hand in 2 or 3 brush strokes, you know, but it was the right color and the right shape of brush stroke, and he would just lay it down and not fuss with the edges. And from a distance, you believe it's a hand. You know, it's amazing.
Right.
So.
Carol, is that right with the distance? I am kind of, this is sort of my own personal question, because I've noticed that before where I'm like, well, Dave Grafton is no longer with us. He had a lot of he was right downtown. He had a lot of paintings like that, where I'd see it from a distance. I was like, wow, that is such an impressive thing. And then you got up close and you were like, oh, I still see it, but it's not, it was still beautiful, but not like it was far away. Why is that, Carol?
But he had control of the large masses, the big shape that carried from across the room. And that's where you want to capture the people, is that large, appealing, abstract shape. And then as they get closer, it unfolds. It's all
right.
about that big shape far away first.
Okay, cool. Listen, we're going to take a break real quick right now. We'll be back in about, I guess, 2 minutes. And we're going to talk about the shapes and those sort of things for the studio audience here. And also answer any questions you guys have. Please bring them. But we're going to talk about these paintings because we have Carol Lee Thompson. I've been calling her Carol Ann the whole time. Carol Lee Thompson and Julie Riker. This is Beyond the Canvas. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Talking video.
Oh, yeah. See, no, you can't think.
Stand by. In 5, 4, 3.
Hi, welcome back, everyone, to Beyond the Canvas at Plein Air Easton 2022 inside the Armory in downtown Easton, Maryland. Thank you for watching. My name's Tim Weigand, and I'm here with Julie Riker and Carol Lee Thompson. They are alumni Plein Air Easton artists, and they're back here, I think, doing a demo and doing these talks. So we appreciate you ladies coming back to do that for us. I'm going to start with one question, then we're going to get into audience questions and your paintings here. How is engaging and representing, engaging, I guess, being the word here for this segment, the difference between a landscape and a person?
Well, one's a captive audience.
One's a captive audience.
I like going back and forth. Every time I think, oh, I'm a landscape artist, I say, oh, I have to paint his portrait. I mean, I go up to people in grocery stores. I go up to strangers in all sorts of settings and say, can I take your picture? Can I ever paint your portrait?
What causes that?
You know, there's a look about them, and it has nothing to do with attractiveness.
Okay.
It's very much, they're a character, they're unique, they seem to have a mystery or a story. I want to get to know them better through a portrait, so I'm as drawn to that as I am a landscape that I can't stop looking at. And so I like it all.
Okay. What do they say when you ask them this question?
Very seldom do they say no.
But do you have to say who you are before they do it?
But they'll make jokes because they're uncomfortable. I'm going to break your camera, you know, whatever. But,
Right.
but then they calm down. And if you talk to them, the portrait you do gets better because you start to learn about them and they'll relax and start telling their
So
life.
what does that have to do with his cheekbone? I'm not being devil's advocate here.
Right.
I just don't know. What does that have to do with his chin?
Right. Well, you know, if I'm a classical realist, so I learned anatomy and I know all those bones and all that, whatever. But it's that engaging with them and just hearing their story, and you become more and more attracted to them, and then it goes to a higher level, if that makes sense. I don't want
Yeah.
to be tacky, but it's true.
Right.
And you just have to paint them.
So no difference really. You get it. It actually might be easier for a portrait.
A tree, a man, doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah. Well, for me, it is different because a human figure is all about form and getting the shape to turn in space, whereas landscape's more about depth and getting the distance to go back in space. So it is somewhat different in the way you think about light and color. I mean, it's still painting what you see, or, you know, somewhat inspired by what you see in the same way as painting a landscape, but it's different in that way.
Carol Ann?
I absolutely see that. I totally agree.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm thinking more in the sense of, am I attracted to both? I
Yeah.
really am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And engaging with both. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm a little afraid to do commissions where a likeness is really important. I really love painting from a live model, and I go to figure sessions regularly. But it's a model, and it's not like they've hired me to do their portrait.
And
so
get
that
it just right.
is, I feel more free to play with my own style and just really learn from the process and not be so hung up on making sure that everything's in the right
Well,
place.
that's
It's
the commission word. It's like a dirty
Exactly,
word.
Yes.
It's very scary.
Yeah.
You like commissions?
No.
Yeah.
Okay. So and it's because you're not as free as an artist.
Right. Now, I get them, and I say yes
Yeah.
all the time, but there's that nervousness. Are they going to have a
Yeah.
vision that's different than your vision? Are they going to be the kind of person that says,
Yeah.
change this, do that, do
Right.
this, do that? It's scary.
I've done commissions as well, and you really have to engage with the customer throughout the entire process, you know, from the initial sketch as the paintings evolving to just make sure that you're both on the same page with how the finished product's going to look, because you are painting for that client. So
Well,
it's very different.
Like if someone were getting a commission of me, and this mole would be obviously very prevalent, and it could be pushed a little further away.
Well, you could say
That's the type of thing you're talking about? I mean, in terms of like why you're nervous?
I don't think your mole has really too much to do with your likeness, right?
So you might not even paint it in.
It's part of you.
It's part of you, but
I put it in.
but I think it's more important to get the shape of the face, the eyes in the right place,
Okay, I could be-
the curve of the mouth, and every human being is really unique in that way, and there's subtle little changes that can affect whether it looks like that person or not. So I've done it,
but you're expected to capture
it's a lot
that, right?
extra pressure. Yeah.
Does the pressure come out in the brush when you're making the stroke, or does it come out when you just show it to them?
It does come out as you're working on it, because you're like, are they gonna like this?
Yeah. Am I going to have to scrub this out?
Right. It's a lot of time and a lot of back and forth to get the nuances to look like. And often too, if you're not, this is why I like working from a live model. If you're working from a photograph, sometimes, you know, the quality of the photo might not be great or whatever, and so you can only paint from what information you have. And, you know, sometimes it's a little nerve-wracking to know if you really look like the person, because you don't know the person as well.
Right. Well, that's what you talk about with getting to know them.
Getting to know them.
Yeah. And sometimes you can't. They're
Right.
deceased, or the
Right.
animal, their pet is deceased.
Yeah,
Or the
I've been
lighting
there.
it's the wrong color, and they go,
Yeah.
well, that's not what Fido looks like. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think we would both agree that commissions are not our ideal subject.
Right.
They're guaranteed money, though.
But if
They
you're
are.
doing it for a living,
Yes, it's wonderful to be able to make a living as an artist, and whatever you need to do to make that happen, I don't see any shame or any, you know, I mean, we all have to work for a living. We all have to do something. Some artists teach, some artists invent some kind of easel that they sell, you know, some
Right.
artists take commissions. I sometimes paint walls, you know, so whatever you need to do to make a living so that you can do what you love to do.
yeah.
Right.
I mean, we get to wake up every day and do what we love.
Yeah.
Except
Doesn't get any
commissions.
better. Well, yeah.
Okay. So, we're going to take. I'm going to sum up this with the engagement, and then we're going to move on to your paintings and audience questions. In general, what is the final saying on the subject and engagement with your subject that you would leave people with? Carol Lee?
Okay. Well, I thought a lot about this in terms of Easton.
Okay.
And you come down here as an artist juried in, it would be so foolish not to have the boats or the water. And you have, I think, somewhat of an obligation to give the community, such a beautiful community, their subject. You know, I wouldn't come down here and then go paint the shopping center or something. I mean, you could, but, you know, you want to find what's the greatest thing about that community and know what, and try to figure out what the community loves and give that back to them. You get to paint it, they get to have their subject. So I feel like it's a great arrangement.
Yeah.
Yeah. There
Speaking
are-
of that, anybody out there, make sure you come to the exhibit this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, because it's 2 paintings by 58 artists. It's 116 pieces, and it's all of Talbot County, and it is really, really just a, you know, awe-inspiring in many cases, or I guess, you know, there's a word for it, sublime, or there's something like that. It's a really, really wonderful experience to see that on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon in the summer for the last, 18 years. Julianne, what would you offer? Julie, what would you offer them?
Well, there certainly
You
are,
said it all. How
are
would you sum it up?
beautiful subjects here. But if you're not painting for a plein air event, like when I paint on my own, I just try to look beyond the obvious subject and, find something that really grabs you. And like I said, a subject can be anything, it doesn't have to be a thing,
Right,
So,
right.
and sometimes my favorite paintings are the paintings that go beyond the obvious subject matter. So,
Ken, do you have any questions before you leave? Okay, he's going to get a Sprite or ginger ale.
yeah.
All right, so let's talk about your paintings behind us.
Okay.
I know that is Julie's, right?
These two are mine.
those
These,
two,
these two are,
and these two are Carol
Yeah.
Lee's. Carol Lee, what is this one behind me? I can't get it. Let me see here.
The belted galloways down in Oxford.
Okay, how did the cows?
So that came
Everything
about.
you just said. How does it relate to that painting?
That's exactly it. So I wanted to do something from the community, from the area. Everybody knows the belted galloways. People love them. Because it was done so quickly and they're going to move, I was working
No
on...
pun intended.
Right. I wanted to do the basic shape, the mass, the thing that you see from a distance, because they're going to be very simple. They're not going to have a lot of detail because they're leaving quickly.
How long did that take you?
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half. Okay.
But I had to get, if you look at my Instagram or whatever, I had to get the essence of it in like 3 minutes.
How does that work?
If
You put it on green
it's just-
everywhere?
No, I took a basic brownish black and just scribbled that shape. Once I had that shape, then I could watch different cows move around and use that shape to complete and keep the mass.
So you scribbled that shape that is you see there, and then filled. That's really. See, I was wondering about
It's
that.
the only
too.
way you could, because flies are gonna bother them, they're gonna walk away, all sorts of things are gonna happen.
Julie, when you start a painting in one light and it changes to another light, do you battle between trying to stick with the light that you started with, or you say, oh, well, this light's prettier, I want to go with this color now. It's going to last longer.
for the most part, I stay with my initial idea, and just like Carol, I initially put down a neutral dark to indicate where all my darks and shadows are, so that I essentially create like a blueprint of dark and light, and I can build color on top of that. And that way, because in 15 minutes, the sun's going to move, and your shadows will be totally different. So, if what I saw when I first decided this is what I'm going to paint, I love that shadow, I need to get that down first. And yeah, I don't change it. And the only time I would really do that is, like, say if it was a really gray day and then suddenly the sun came out, and I might add that sunlight,
Gotcha.
But yeah.
So let's go from the cows, something very Talbot County-esque, or and then over to the
The
boat
boats.
dock.
It's a boat dock, yeah.
Another sort of Talbot County signature in many areas.
Yep.
What about your relationship with this?
So this, it was, I call it wonky dock. It was, it was like almost afraid to walk on it. And I just loved the little, like, kind of, almost like keys of a piano leading me back that dock, and how it was just really stepped and wonky. And that was a fun painting.
It was really torn up,
Fun
huh?
painting to do, yeah. But
Where was
it's
that?
sort of about the dock and the boats, but it's also just about the composition and the design of the painting.
What does that mean?
So that stepped line of the dock leading you back into space to the boats, it just to me, that's what grabbed me and why I wanted it. And then all the little repeated lines, kind of like music notes along a keyboard.
Nice, very nice,
Yeah.
very nice.
And those are kind of things that go through my mind when I'm designing a painting. But that was on Smith Island.
Smith. Oh wait, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay. Carol Lee, let's go to your next one. Again, these are not necessarily staples of the Eastern Shore.
That one is not.
That is not that. Yeah. what? Tell us about this painting here and your
Beautiful.
relationship with. I mean, that's obviously you say, "Oh, I see this here. I got to stop and paint this now," or "I'm planning to paint this one of these days," or how did this painting come about?
So it's called Private Reflections. And with COVID, we couldn't go out and do anything. And I would walk and walk and walk in the area, so that's near my house. And I would see this every time I walked. And it was very private time. Here we are going through COVID. We're all in isolation. And I would pass this beautiful scene with the
She's setting that for the
backlit-
cameras here, so she'll move that in a second.
Sure. It was very personal to me, and it was very beautiful to me, but it sort of has a dim light, and sort of the fact that there was little puddles and the sunset was reflecting in the puddle was sort of a double meaning with the personal reflections. But it was sort of like my coming out of COVID, and getting out again, because it was
Yeah.
such a solemn time.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
It's very lovely. And then that's the Maryland state line? Gotcha.
Nice.
Thus the hill. Couldn't tell you it was Talbot County. Can't get away with that hill.
Right. Yeah, it could look like Y Mills area and some but
Yeah.
if it didn't have the big hill in the
Yeah.
back. I think I've seen, but yeah, no, it's beautiful.
It does have that feeling of like awakening. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, Julie, what else do you see in that?
That awakening kind of feeling, like she said it was coming out of COVID, but it's like sort of that sunrise awakening, coming out of darkness. I get that.
How long did that one
Definitely
take?
comes across.
Oh, that was, because it's more complicated and larger, I tend to paint small plein air. I've had to go back, multiple times.
Gotcha, gotcha.
But it's right around the
Yeah,
corner.
lovely.
Okay. And then let's go to another lovely painting here. Again, not particularly Talbot County, but
The Dahlia Garden.
what's it called?
Dahlia Garden.
And tell us about this painting.
That was a painting location I was at. They had a lovely dahlia garden against the dark wall, and I just love the way the colors of the flowers stood out against that deep color wall, and also again compositionally, sort of the movement of the color throughout the painting appealed to me. I played with it a little bit. I moved some of the flowers from where they were, to kind of create that sort of movement.
well,
through
again,
the
that's that
painting.
going backwards you were talking about
Right.
versus painting a portrait or something like that.
Right. Yeah, I'm not as worried about modeling the form of every flower, It's more about the space of the whole painting. Yeah.
And then, Carol Lee, you do studies like that?
Yes, and I think this is wonderful.
Thank you.
Because I can travel through it.
Yeah.
And she sort of walks you through a beautiful garden setting, and the flowers are set by the dark. It's
Thank you.
lovely. It's like
Very nice.
realism, impressionism. She got it all.
Oh,
It's
thank
great
you.
when you have it all.
Now, Nick, Dina, Ryan, we're going to go to the audience question portion of the Beyond the Canvas. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask? Anything they've seen? Anything that I missed? I know I have not covered everything. Ken, yes.
I would like y'all to comment on this Cynthia Rosen painting, which I find I can't stop looking at.
Okay. Ken Sadler just asked for the Julie and Carol Lee to comment on a Cynthia Rosen picture that's behind us right now. They'll try to get a shot of it for you.
Yeah, it's bold. The colors are beautiful. It definitely it feels landscape to me because I see a lot of depth in it, between the lower foreground and the background towards the top of the canvas. It just feels like you could walk back there, even though the subject matter isn't so clearly defined.
I think that speaks to what we were saying about
Right.
have some mystery.
Exactly.
I think he can't stop looking at it because he's dying to find what he needs to find in it and put it together for him. So everybody's doing their little search for what it means to them.
Yeah.
Is it different closer up, Ken? Because it's different to me closer up than it was sitting on that wall over there. We talked about that too a little bit.
I think that was the right distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, this changes it quite a bit,
Yeah.
right? It still doesn't change the intrigue because now it's a totally different painting to me than it was sitting over there. Over there, I thought that was a cascading
Yeah.
waterfall or something, a stream like that.
Yeah.
It could be peering through trees beyond something from here.
I mean, you can read what you want into it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's almost, sometimes it's almost worse if you corner the artist and make them tell you what they see.
right.
It's best to let you do your own work.
That's really true. That is very, very true.
And Cynthia's a phenomenal colorist. And
What does that mean?
her skill with mixing and handling color to carry you through the painting. And she applies it all pretty much with a palette knife, I believe, which gives that nice kind of mosaic quality. That's really amazing.
You know, the orange is all through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's orange the whole way through, yeah. I don't know, Ken. Well, that's a good question. We'll have to see what happens to it this week at Plein Air Easton 2022. Any other questions?
Maybe you need to take it home.
He can afford it. Ken's got it. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm curious about what you do the week leading up to the Plein Air Festival, because, you know, the artists spend like 18 hours once you're here. You know, painting, you do 5 big complete works, framing them, sell them, and all of that. So the week before, do you put away your pencils and your paintbrushes and don't touch them for a week so you have that hunger when you get to Easton? Or do you spend a lot of time doing quick sketches and working with colors, different techniques that you're thinking that you're going to use once you get to Easton?
So the
You know somewhat what the subject matter is going to be once you get
Yeah.
So the question is, for the audience in the exterior, you know kind of what your subjects are going to be when you come to Easton, especially if you've been here the first or second or third time. How do you prepare
Right.
to get ready? Do you sketch or do you?
Yeah. Well, I know some artists will come and actually scope out areas where they're going to paint. It is. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You can come scope out. You can sketch. You could even do a practice painting. I mean, those of us that live a little further away, it's not quite as easy. But I know the week before I do any kind of plein air event, I'm packing. I'm getting my frames. I'm getting my panels primed. I'm making sure I have enough paint. Checking my supply list. Packing food, all that stuff, you know, because it's a grueling week, and you don't want to find that you don't have something you need. So I think I would say most of the artists in this event probably are at a point where they don't necessarily have to practice up to the last minute, that they already have the skills under their belt. And so, but you do want to make sure you have everything you need here. So,
Carol Lee?
It's sort of like when you get ready for a big vacation,
right,
but it's not.
right.
And we have to do that. We have to check our list and make sure we've got everything down.
Yep.
And I stress out about what I think I want to paint. And, you know, you can have in your mind, I'm going to do the such and such a boat down in Tillman, and then you get there and the boat's out. One year I was doing a gorgeous old water tower at the Y Estate, and I pulled up and Mrs. Tillman said, it's okay, go ahead, but there might be some trucks coming in. And she didn't know what I was going to paint, but she said, you're fine, don't worry about it. 18-wheelers pulled up, blocked the buildings under the water tower. And a few minutes later, here came the wrecking ball, and they knocked the water tower down. And it was gone. So,
So there are 17 new painters this year
wow.
in the competition.
That's great.
So what are they going to miss? What are they going to not have on there? What are they going to forget to bring? They're going to bring.
There's always something.
Right.
But, you know, they'll probably find another artist that has some
Yeah.
that to spare.
There's a lot of trading frames that goes on, that kind of thing when you get here.
Emergencies.
Yeah. And there's JFM frames
Yeah.
are here if you don't have frames, but there's always the other artists are. I know when it was my first year, there were some experienced artists that really went out of their way to say, hey, you want to come paint with me here? Because I was, it was my first time. I was scared. And so the other artists, I think, really look out for the newcomers. And if there's something you forget, just ask someone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Any other questions from the audience? Yes, ma'am.
Do you feel like you need to take a break after a week like this and do something completely different, not do plein air or any time you're doing plein air? And what is your break? I mean, what type of studio work or what do you?
So the question is, do you feel like you need to take a break after an event like this? And what do you do? And is it studio work or is it just relaxation, that sort of thing?
Well, I'm going to have to get back to client work when I get home. I've been away from it. So, but yeah, I mean, it's like when you come back from vacation, you have to.
When you say it's grueling, though, when you say it's a grueling week, that's what I think, yeah.
Physically exhausting.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm a sunrise sunset person. So I was up in the dark, ready for the sunset, and then you're up all day, and then you wait for the moon to come up or do a nocturne. I love nocturnes. It just makes the day so long, and it's exhausting physically. So I go home and do whatever I want, paint
Yeah,
whatever I
well, that's
want,
good.
and,
Right.
paint for me and not care.
Yeah.
But you'll keep painting. You're not that.
Yeah,
You're
just
not
keep
that
painting.
grueled out.
Just
You're not
keep
that-
painting.
It's not that. Okay. Julie,
Yeah. Well, it depends. Like, I have a pretty busy
sauna,
schedule.
a spa.
No,
you guys
I
do a spa,
wish.
Carol?
There might be a day or two where I would relax, but I have work lined up, that I mean, working artists, you just need to keep at it. So,
You do take a vacation though, right? Are you allowed? Can you take it? Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Anytime you want.
well, yeah, I mean.
I know the staff-
Nobody pays me to take a vacation.
Hey,
Um,
I get it.
yeah.
No, the staff here, the Monday afterwards, we're pretty wiped out. I mean, it's pretty much everybody can kind of, they'll
Yeah.
still come in and do the books because they got to get the checks
Yeah,
out. But
I imagine.
So, but we haven't really been in the heat. Like, we've been in the heat a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hot out there today.
It's
I'll tell you
hot.
what, it's the hottest day. They always make that joke about Plein Air Easton being the hottest week, and we have a lot of hot weeks here. But this year, this is definitely
Yeah.
heading to be the hottest week. I mean, it is definitely hot out there.
Well, you're the whole organization at the Avalon. They put months into this.
Yeah,
and
they do.
It's super intense, and they do a fantastic job. And so, thank you.
Well,
for what you do.
Hey, thanks for these. I think
Yeah.
the support over the years proves that they're just
Yeah.
as thankful to you guys. So,
Yeah.
Any other questions from the audience? Are you sure? Peggy, do you have a question?
Sure.
Yes.
You had talked about, when you do commissions, there's an expectation of something. Well, and you also talked about picking your subject. Do you, when you start, have an expectation of a finished product or something else?
So the question is, they were comparing a commission to their normal work throughout the year, and there's an expectation at the end of the commission, and is there such an expectation of the paintings that you make of yourselves that are not commissions or something else? Carol Lee?
I find that the more successful pieces are the ones that I can envision the finished piece. If I'm too vague on where I'm headed or where it's going to end up, I never do as well as when I can clearly see it. Whether it's a gut feeling or the planning or the sketch, whatever. But if I can see the end, it's going to be a better
So you
end.
saw the end of that one.
Sure. There's changes, there's surprises, there's heartbreak. But basically, when I see the finish, I'm going to have a better painting.
Julie? I know you're going to say this, I think.
Yeah, I wish I could do that. But for me, partially because I try so many things I've never painted. I try to paint things that, you know, I like challenges. So always with a challenge, there's a chance you'll fail. And I'm talking outside of being a competitor in an event when I go out by myself to paint. I'm easy on myself if I fail. You know, it's like it's not wasted time. I learned something. So I guess I try not to have, of course we have expectations. I try not to have too high expectations, and then I'm pleasantly surprised if it turns out, right? So I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, just, it is an interesting question, because when you talk about, when you compare it to commissions.
Right.
I mean, that,
Yeah.
it gets really, really
Yeah.
sort of.
Yeah, because you don't want to fail a commission, you know. But I allow myself leeway to fail my own painting because, and I do well with my commissions. I don't have to sell all my paintings. It's nice when I do, and when they turn out, it's a special gem, you know, because I've tried something new and it worked. So,
Ladies, this has been really informative. Anybody have any other questions? Well,
thank
this
you
has
for
been
coming.
really, really enjoyable and very informative.
yeah.
And thank you all
Thank
for
you.
coming, as Julie
Yeah.
said.
Thank you.
We will be back, I think, tomorrow at 2 o'clock for another one of these.
Yeah.
You'll have to look online for the subject. I know that the Academy Art Museum will be coming over tomorrow to do a show about works that were just completed that day. Sarah Jesse will be over here from the AcademyArt Museum to do that for the next couple days. But thank you, ladies, for being the guinea
Thank
pigs
you.
of
Thank
this.
you.
We haven't done one of these in a long time.
Thank you.
Once
Thank you,
again,
guys.
we want to thank Julie Riker and Carol Lee Thompson for coming to be on the canvas 2022 live at Plein Air Easton in the Armory in Easton, Maryland. Thank you all for watching. We look forward to seeing you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.